Well, hello lovely humans. Welcome to another episode of Crafting with Jamie. That's not the title of this series. I just made that up. In today's video, we are going to be doing 4 Halloween Cricut crafts, some of which I've been holding out on, wanting to do these for several years. So I'm glad I finally got off my keister and decided to make them for all of our sakes. Without a doubt, hands down, these are some of my favorite Cricut DIYs I have ever done. Is that a bold statement? Yeah. Do I stand by it? Absolutely. So without further ado, let's just jump right on into it. Kicking off our Halloween project list, I'm starting with a very simple black cardstock. You can really kind of go with whatever thickness you want. I honestly just picked one randomly off of Amazon, hit order, and called it a day. And at this moment in the video, it becomes extremely clear exactly what my first craft is going to be. Look, it's freaking bats. I know that you can buy these, okay? I know that they're for sale, but if I already have a Cricut machine, it's just a matter of buying some paper to instead make them myself, then I kind of see it as a way of saving money. You know what I mean? My test cut went great until I realized I had a ton of leftover paper and could probably be a little bit more strategic on how I grouped these bats together to get the most bang for my buck or the most bats for my page. You know what I mean? Or the most bats for my buck. Basically, this is a time lapse of me just resizing over and over and over again to maximize the amount of bats I can get per 8.5 by 11 sheet. And I kind of kept going for a long time. I don't know, I think I landed somewhere near 40, or maybe just south of 40. So in order to make them look like all the cool vibey ones I see on the internet, I am simply just bending their wings to give them a little bit more of a 3D effect than just the flat 2D effect. And there's probably a more classy and or practical way of hanging these, but honestly, my good old friend Scotch tape came in clutch. Again, is this gonna last? I have no clue. This is my first time doing something like this. But for now, we're using Scotch tape, okay? Because I couldn't find any other sort of adhesive that could potentially also work. Now I know what you're thinking. Jamie, that looks a little unfinished. Why are you dismantling your mantle? But here's the deal. I had a vision for what this would look like, but you can't see it till the very end. So I'm going to wait to finish the rest of the bats. Cliffhanger, next project. Full disclosure, I've had this wood sign for probably 1.5 to 2 years. I knew exactly what I wanted to do with this before I even made it, and I've just been procrastinating. And that is, I'm going to be making a very cool Harry Potter inspired vintage wood sign. And I also thought this was black at first until I started painting and realized it was something called pavement. But it ended up working out in my favor. And I believe I originally got this wood sign from Joann's. I can't find it specifically online, so if I can find an Amazon alternative, I will link it below. For this particular design, I'm actually going to be doing a stencil for the first time on something like this, so the color of the vinyl really doesn't matter. And batten down the hatches, folks, because this is going to be one of the most difficult weeds of my life. If you've been around long enough, then you have seen this in a vlog from years ago on a t-shirt, and literally, I don't know what I was thinking by using this on another project, but I'm excited somewhere deep inside. In situations like this, I take full advantage of the grid marks on the Cricut transfer tape because I want this to be as straight as possible, because I want to be pretty meticulous with my spacing and my leveling when I move it over onto my painted board. A glorious pseudo shot at the back of my head, but you get the point. I'm going around the stencil, measuring to make sure it's as even as possible. This is actually my first time ever working with Rub and Buff. I've seen great things. I follow a bunch of DIY influencers on Instagram who use it all the time, and I was like, dude, done. Say less. So I bought a 5-pack and opted for Gold Leaf, which happens to be the lightest and brightest out of all of them because I figured it would make a really good contrast. And took a quick picture in case I needed to see where any of the stencil pieces were, because some of these are pretty tiny. I was positively shocked how easy the Rub and Buff was to work with, and it was literally exactly what I wanted. I used both an old t-shirt and a paintbrush to get into itty bitty grooves of the stencil to see which one I preferred best, and honestly at the end of the day, t-shirt was supreme. Now, as I pulled this stencil off, it was removing some of the paint that I had put on there, so I went back in with a paintbrush. I don't mind the aged effect, but I went back in to make it look not as drastic in some of the areas that lost a lot. Confession time, I have also had this scrolly thing for like, I can't even tell you how long, but here's the deal. I don't like my handwriting. I cannot physically pull off anything that looks like this with my Regina phalanges, okay? So I turned to Etsy once again to find the perfect SVG file. I'm telling you guys, if you have an epic SVG, literally everything can look professional. Now, because this particular design is going directly onto paper, I don't mind using removable, because the way I see it, even the tiniest bit of adhesive is going to get it to stick onto a piece of paper. So why use the heavy duty permanent stuff if you don't have to? So once I got it on the wall, I realized that it was way smaller than it probably should have been. I sized it down thinking that it would look great, and honestly, it looks a little hokey, in my opinion, okay? I probably should have opted for a 7-inch or 7.5-inch wide design to really fill out that space, but for a super quick Sanderson sister style artwork for the Halloween season, it gets the job done. And because of that sweet SVG, it looks clean and fresh. And for my final trick, the one that I so rudely teased you with earlier, we are going to turn this 2x3 piece of plywood, which you can get directly from Home Depot or Lowe's, you can get them already pre-cut in this size, into a sign. I have literally been, okay, this whole video, the theme of this video is Halloween decor Jamie has been fantasizing about making for at least a year. Thank you. After finding the perfect mix of colors, I just took a little mini roller brush. You could use any kind of brush you want. Just be careful not to paint the furniture behind you like I did. Okay? I mean, come on. You've seen the sign that's been haunting Pinterest for the last 2.5 years, right? So then it's just a matter of pulling my full design together. I knew that I wanted some sort of typewriter font. I had a feeling American typewriter wasn't going to be quite it. Foreshadowing, it's not. I'm going to switch it up in just a minute. But in the meantime, we are going to try to make sure I get my spacing correct. Using 2 of the pre-done shapes, I'm able to kind of recreate that line piece that we see in the original inspiration. And then it's just a matter of sizing and resizing to figure out what I want the final results to look like. And then finally, when I had had enough and I knew it was the wrong font, I took to the Googs and found my new favorite, Special Elite. There is something, y'all, about getting the right font for the job that makes me want to salivate a little bit. I'm not going to, but I want to. And since we are mimicking kind of a vintage book type feel here, I make sure to add plenty of extra spaces between the words, because I really do think that is a key distinguishing detail that I love about this piece of artwork so very much. If you do not have a laser level and you are a crafter, drop everything and go buy one right now. This changes the name of the game. I steal this from my husband on so many occasions. He honestly finds it irritating. But when I'm making signs like this, it is my go-to tool to make sure all of my wording, letters, design, etc. are even and level. Speaking of level, I'm going to level with you here. This did not go according to plan. I do not know if it was because of the type of paint I used or because I used Oracle permanent vinyl on this specifically, but this is almost an hour-long time lapse. I had to individually peel the transfer tape off of each and every letter and then Mod Podge them back into place because for some reason they were not wanting to stick. So if anyone has any advice on a particular kind of vinyl that could work better in this situation, holler at me. Oh, and one more thing. My husband built a frame for it, and I can't add that to a part of the DIY because I don't know how. So I know I kind of cheated sneaking in that frame at the last minute, but to be honest, I miss getting any footage of him making one, so I figured if you want one with a frame, I know they sell them pre-done at various craft stores. You can grab one of them there. If not, I honestly was fine with it without a frame. it still feels a little bit like cheating on you. So I'm really sorry that I don't have that included in here at all. I genuinely cannot pick my favorite from all of these. I know which one's not my favorite. The Sanderson sisters needs to be a little bit bigger. But other than that, I have a feeling I'm gonna be using all of this decor for years to come. Let me know which one your favorite was in the comments below. If you have any sort of Cricut advice or suggestions, drop those in the comments as well, because it will just give me an excuse to make even more crafts, which my husband absolutely loves. If you like the video, jump on down there, hit that like button, and give me a subscribe while you're down there too. We do Cricut crafts on occasion, and sometimes they're moody. Sometimes they turn out great. Most of the time they turn out great, but you'll have to subscribe to find out. And until next time, bye guys.